welcome everybody. Welcome into Otter Rhythm Fantasy Studios. I'm your host, Jamie, and I got my co-host Eli over there on the other side of that, lovely little rectangle square over there.
Yeah, whatever this space is
Yeah.
between us. Uh, I was jamming out to our theme song like I normally do, and I'm digging that. Doing some air drums. Uh, yeah, we're back. Tag team back again. Uh, doing this
Sweet
spotlight.
Jesus.
Sweet Jesus, we're doing this spotlight one more time. Only it's the day. I think it's daylight here. It's kind
I
of
know,
shit,
but it's actually kind of shocking. We're usually it's
right?
dark and condensed and and whatnot. We're actually doing something during the day, which is
That's what I'm saying.
kind of
Normally,
freaky.
I got my spotlight on in the back, and there's my other light over here, and you got your lights on, and so we're doing a little bit of daytime stuff here. You know what? You know what you can do? You know what you can do for us besides obviously watch the video is you can go over and watch any of the previous stuff. Watch, listen, any of the above. YouTube. Jay's got a great playlist for all the previous spotlights. We've done everybody from Ollie Gordon to Harold Fannin Jr., record-breaking tight end from Bowling Green. We just did Jackson Dart. He hasn't been posted yet, but Jackson Dart's coming up too. So
Yeah, it's
lots
been
of
posted.
goodies. Lots of goodies. Kyle McCord. Didn't even mention Kyle McCord. Kyle McCord should be rising up boards as well. So got a bunch of these current guys. We have all the 2024. Can't even talk. The 2024 guys as well. Previous year. You can go back and check out our thoughts on Devon Vele before he became as good as he was. Bucky Irving, 1,100 plus yard running back in the league. You can get our thoughts on last year or any of the weekly stuff. It's all over on YouTube, Spotify, all those. Where else are we, Jay? I know we're on the X.
Well, you can catch us on the Discord as well. The links will be in the description below down there for you to click on. We got Instagram. I haven't really posted over anything over there quite yet, so I'm just kind of it's a work in progress. And I was posting a few of the spotlight guys and the values and the yards and stuff like that with team landing spots and stuff like that. So I was doing a little bit of that. So I don't know, I might adjust some of that stuff, going forward or whatever. Just trying to get some just different contents out there if you guys are an Instagram kind of guy over there too as well. So you can just type in Outer Rhythm Fantasy Sports and we'll just pop up. Give us a follow over there. Yeah, you can catch us on the Twitch, all those fancy other, whatever the hell you want to call them.
Yes. We're back again with RJ Harvey, running back extraordinaire from UCF. Yeah, like LA Knight says. Yeah, and RJ, he's not like Jack. When we just did Jackson Dart, he was a little more polarizing. RJ, not so much. RJ is, I think, a guy on the rise. I think somebody that maybe the mainstream hasn't really heard of before or didn't really pay attention to because obviously we had a bunch of great running back seasons for anybody from Ashton Genty to Caleb Johnson, Trey Stewart from Jack State. There's a bunch of great running back seasons. RJ's kind of went under the radar because UCF was 4-8, but I mean the man just obliterated all the what am I catching here? Is that a snow plow? Is that a snow truck? Oh shit!
Oh,
Yeah,
hey, don't.
actually moving snow here. I think I was mentioning that earlier that it's pretty cloudy and gloomy in South Dakota here where we're at. I'm a couple hundred miles south of Jamie, but yeah, it's shitty, cloudy, cold, all the above here. That's February in the Midwest. What can you say? Anyways, RJ Harvey, I'll put this graphic up first tonight. You know what? He was a high school quarterback. If you believe it, I mean, because he's a running back, he's smaller. You're not thinking that's not the first thought that comes to your mind. Like, oh, RJ used to be a quarterback. He was actually pretty damn good. I think he was the 39th ranked dual threat quarterback in the 2019 draft class. So, he originally started out as a quarterback, ended up at Virginia, and then things didn't work out there. Totally understandable. He had to switch positions. So he went over to UCF in 2020, the COVID season. Got a few carries there, not much anything. And then tore his ACL in 2021, missed all of that, missed all season there. And then pretty much the last 2.5 years, he's been the feature back down at UCF. So kind of put that there. And then this graphic just has a few of his receiving stats because I didn't have anywhere else to put them, basically. But you can see, he's pretty damn good, pretty solid receiver for the college level. Caught 22 passes in 2022. Caught, over 230 yards and 2 touchdowns in 2023. And this past year, almost 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. So, increased a little bit every year with his receiving, which is going to help out the next level. I'm going to pull up one of the bigger graphics here while we're on stats. We'll just there we go. Boom, bam, got it on the right side of the screen this time. Not much to know about 3 carries, 3 yards. I mean, Jamie and I could get 3 carries and 3 yards at the college level.
Yeah, more than likely.
Yeah, 2022 had a little less than 800 yards, 5 touchdowns. It was really the last 2 years that RJ popped. If you think about it, had over 1,400 yards last year, 16 rushing touchdowns, and then 2024. This is kind of his signature year, his breakout year. Almost 1,600 yards, 22 touchdowns. He's actually second in the country in rushing touchdowns combined the last 2 years. He's only behind Ashton from Boise State. So he's basically second in rushing touchdowns the last 2 years, which is very impressive. I mean, you can't get any better than Ashton Genty. Be a first-round running back. So I put the stats there for RJ, and you know what? I'll get into I've included a few extra things in the graphics so far. I'll get into the comp here in a second, but in the landing spots as well. But we're gonna switch it over to the last slide that I have. Boom, there we go. So I use 3 sources. I always say these in the video. So I use 3 sources where I get the rankings from, and then that kind of bases like where I might have him projected to be picked, or kind of where you could expect, because it's and that's the low end. Like a 5th round pick right now is kind of the consensus, but I think that's super low for him. Jamie thinks the same thing. Jay will get into his thoughts here in a second, but that seems extremely low considering ESPN has him as the 7th ranked running back. PFF has him as the 9th ranked running back. I think Draft Buzz is a little bit off here. They have him as the 18th ranked running back, but they factor in different things at all 3 of these different places. So it's good to see. You can kind of see the differences, but ESPN and PFF are similar, but Draft Buzz a little bit different. Measured in at the combine, or not the combine, but the Senior Bowl at 5'8" and 207. Some places have had him listed as high as 5'9". He's not quite, he's barely 5'8". Weight's been pretty much the same, been 208, something like that, 207, 208. The 40 time, that's pretty consistent as well. If you go to different places, it's about a 4.4, 4.41, which for a feature running back is not bad. That's not bad at all. That's kind of in the range that you want. Not a burner. He's not Jalen Wright from last year.
Yeah.
I mean, just ridiculous speed from Jalen Wright. But and then right there, some of the other bullets there. 3-year starter at UCF, like I'd mentioned. And I'm surprised. I'm surprised that a bigger school, especially after 2023, a bigger school didn't try to swoop him up. You think somebody would have backed up the Brinks truck, like Alabama, for example. Alabama could have used an upgrade at running back. I know they went after Ashton Genty. I'm surprised I'm surprised they didn't go after RJ, but he stayed loyal. He's from Orlando. He's from that area, so it makes sense. He's a hometown kid, stay at the hometown school, so totally get that. Appreciate a loyal guy. He was the 3rd-team All-American running back this past year. So he was part of the All-American. He was the 1st-team Big 12. So, it was a damn good year. I think he was a Doak Walker finalist, for top running back.
Oh, yeah.
Right in that mix. Sure. Jay, he was right in that mix with Caleb and Ashton Genty from Boise, a lot of the other, big name running backs from this past year. And some of the career accolades he had at UCF. He was the 2nd leading rusher there in their history, and also 2nd in rushing touchdowns with 43. So, Had a damn good career.
Ooh.
One of the best ever to ever do it, ever lace him up at UCF. And then for a comp, we'll get to the comp here, and I'll see what Jay thinks about that, because he's going to have his ceiling, middle, and then floor. It's usually how he does it. But you know what? I considered a couple different guys. You're thinking small running back. So, and there's a guy in his own draft class that, hey, if you don't want to spend a first round pick on Ashton Denty, there's not much of a drop off between him and RJ. They're very similar, have similar, not quite the stats, but I mean they're very similar skill set. So you're not dropping off that much, especially if you can get him in the 4th or 5th round. That's great value in my opinion. And in rookie drafts too for Dynasty, you can get a lot of value for a guy like RJ Harvey, who's I think people are sleeping on a little bit. So I had Kenneth Walker from Seattle, which is not bad. I mean, Kenneth Walker had a great career at Michigan State. If you go back and look at some of the college stats that they had, back to back, very similar. I think Kenneth Walker is a little bit bigger, maybe like an inch taller and maybe 5 or 10 more pounds, but similar skill set and similar NFL stats. Kenneth Walker, when he's been on the field, he's been productive, but he hasn't been a world beater. I think that's a very modest comp. Kenneth Walker, I think, has had 1,000-yard season. So, not anything crazy, not a McCaffrey level guy or a Saquon or any of that stuff. But, when Walker's out there, he's the feature guy, and then Charbonnet is his backup. So, there's definitely a potential. I mean, to me, RJ could be a 3-down running back. He could be a feature guy. He can catch. People question his blocking a little bit, but he's a smaller guy. He's never going to be the best pass blocker. It's just he's 5'8", 207. There's just physical limitations there. Did you have any thoughts on Walker being my comp?
No, I think it's a good composition, because for me, my thoughts is that RJ will have to fall into a, kind of a team landing, kind of similar to what Kenneth Walker is already doing, where he's not quite, the full, like the RB1 there.
Feature. Yeah, Jonathan Taylor, Josh Jacobs, Saquon. Yep.
Yeah, kind of in that role. I mean, it's him. I think him and Scadaboo are pretty much similar guys, kind of smaller guys that are, coming out of this draft. And I think him and Harvey are pretty similar in those aspects.
Can work well and look at for example, look at the Pittsburgh. Najee Harris is, he'll get his 1,000 yards, but Jaylen Warren gets a bunch of work as well. So if you're or Charbonnet, from when Charbonnet stepped in with Seattle, he was very good. So, a couple situations just as examples, like you can be productive and be a two-headed backfield. To a lesser extent, Tennessee. Tennessee not as good, obviously, but between Tony Pollard and Tajee Spears from last year, they were both productive and they shared the workload. So I think something like that for RJ and for and Scadaboo, I think would be good arrangements for backs, backs like that. Did you want to get into any of your stuff or any of your thoughts, Jay, before I put up the some of my 5 landing spots? Or yep, there we go.
I mean, I'll just pull this up, but I just think RJ is kind of a guy. I'll bring this up a little bit when I get a little bit after he gets his stuff done here.
Yep.
RJ is kind of a guy you have to actually start kind of actually early in the game to be effective. That I'll just put it that way. If he get, he's a guy you want to get started early in the game, not later in the game. He's kind of a guy you want to try to get, in the game kind of roughly early game plan.
He is. He's small, but he'll wear you down. Like and you could see we put the game logs for all of his games. He actually had a lot of better stats later in the year, and they weren't against shitty competition. There was some Big 12 teams sprinkled in there, and so Arizona State ended up going to the playoff. They almost beat Texas. Hook 'em horns. They almost beat Texas in the Elite 8 game. So Arizona State had a damn good year. He put up a good stat line against them. Yeah, right there. 3 touchdowns, 127 yards. I think he had 2 catches as well. I didn't include, but just ripping off against Big 12 teams towards the end of the year. So he didn't slow down at all. And then you look at the Senior Bowl, Jay. had, you're never going to get 20 carries in a Senior Bowl. Come on.
Oh yeah,
He
no,
had
no.
4 carries, 24 yards, had a nice 25-yard touchdown pass to Ty Felton from Maryland, who we also like a lot. We like Ty Felton. And he kind of showed off the versatility. Like he could be a gadget guy, because he was a highly touted high school quarterback at one time. So you can do a bunch of different stuff with this guy. You can have him return kicks, throw, catch, rush, a little bit of everything.
Sorry, since you were talking about landing spots and stuff like that
Yes.
here real shortly, so I figured it'd be best.
Yep. Yep. That's all, folks. Yep. And yeah, I put an expanded list on the bottom there, and I'll see Jay's thoughts. I'm going to start with the Eagles at number 1. World champions. Obviously, he's not going to be the feature guy, but he could be a damn good backup. Kenneth Gainwell is a free agent, and I think he could fill in that Kenneth Gainwell role very nicely. Catching passes, get a few runs, maybe a couple, 300, 350 yards rushing. Maybe his first year as a rookie, I think that'd be modest. A couple hundred yards receiving, a little bit of both. Between catching and rushing, maybe 5 touchdowns. 5-6 touchdowns. I think that'd be a solid rookie year. Eagles, he's not going to be the feet. I mean, that's Saquon's role. Saquon was almost the MVP of the damn league, so he's not going to jump Saquon. But I think the Eagles would be a nice landing spot for him to land on his feet and potentially win their backup job. And I think he could fit in that role very well. Jags, I put at number 2. I think they're going to move off. I do. I think they're going to move off Travis Etienne. I think they're gonna move him. That Trevor Lawrence money's kicking in, man. They can't pay everybody. They're gonna start running into the same problems that some of these other teams have too. When you're paying an overrated quarterback $55 million a year, which is what Trevor Lawrence is. Trevor Lawrence is junk in my opinion. He's average as the day comes. You're gonna need some cheap labor. Tank Bigsby, who was the backup last year, showed a few flashes. I didn't mind Tank Bigsby. So if you go, if he goes to a place like Jacksonville, even as a day 3 pick, he'd have a chance to, if they get rid of Etienne, he'd have a chance to compete for the starting job. And they have Liam Cohen there. I liked him a lot. He was the Bucks OC last year. He worked with Bucky, worked with Baker and Mike Evans and those boys. So I think he could have some early success with Jacksonville. I mean, we remember James Robinson. James Robinson was the rookie offensive rookie of the year in 2020. So Jacksonville kind of has a history of taking low undrafted to low round running backs and kind of turning them into, wonders. Vikings, I put at 3. I think it'd be, Aaron Jones, another example of a guy, free agent. I don't know if they want to pay him. I think he's gonna be 30 this year, 30 years old. So if they don't want to pay Aaron Jones, who else? That Cam Akers. Cam Akers is he's beat. You can beat him out. Cam Akers is great. Who else they have? They still have Ty. What's his name?
Ty Chandler? No.
Yeah, Ty Chandler. Sure. I think Ty Chandler might still be there. Like these guys don't intimidate me. Like that's another place with, especially with an established good 14-win team like the Vikings. That's an established, good offense, good team, good play caller, and Kevin O'Connell. I think he'd fit in very well with the Vikings. Cheap labor, more of that. Low round guy. I think RJ would, and it's a dome. He's not. And I think they're combination of the creativity of O'Connell, kind of how he can use RJ, and then the fact that you're playing in a dome. I think that would both benefit him. He's a Southern guy, from Orlando, went to school, in Orlando. So, that's warm weather and domes would work really well for RJ. Well, the Eagles is, I think that'd be a great spot for just about anybody. I mean, you're with the world champions, and I think I think you'd be set up for success there. But the rest of these teams are warm weather or dome teams. The expanded list, Jay, I had the Raiders at 4. The Raiders. Raiders are on every list because they are depleted in every position. We have a running joke. I think they were on the I think we made a joke about that last year. I think it was the Panthers. I think it was the Panthers last year. This year it's the Raiders that are on every single one of these top 5, places of need. I think RJ would work well there. Dylan Labe, the rookie last year, 6th rounder. He showed a couple things, but he's not great by any means. Zamir White, I wouldn't be surprised if they cut Zamir White. Just kind of shit the bed as a feature guy this year. Not very good. Who else they have? Sincere McCormick. Like, come on, just start going down the list.
They got Isaiah
Random,
Spiller and
Alexander Madison. Madison. I think Madison and RJ together, I think would be okay. It's like a 1-2 punch.
They also they got Amir Abdullah.
Amir Abdullah, yeah, he's still in the league. Like a bunch, just randos, just a bunch of randos that you, me, and the guy next door didn't even know he was in the damn league. So, Raiders need some help, and these are all 5th round picks because that's where he's projected. I forgot to mention that. Eagles pick 162, Jags pick 143, Vikings pick 140. Raiders pick 144, and if he even lasts that long, I mean, I think when we get to we're doing this February 12th is when we're recording this, so this is before the combine, this is before a bunch of the extras that are going to go on before the NFL draft in a couple months. So things could definitely change. RJ could possibly get up to being a 3rd round pick, being a maybe a late day 2 guy or something. But right now he's projected 5th round, so we're going to go with that. And then my final team, Jay, the Chargers. I think if I have this right, J.K. Dobbins is a free agent, so this would be another landing spot. Maybe in a running back by committee. With Gus the Bus. Gus is going to be back. The Harbaughs love him, so I think Gus will be back. Maybe they draft another. Maybe this is the 2nd running back they take. Maybe they take one in the 2nd or 3rd. Maybe they take Caleb Johnson. And
who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Maybe they take Omarion Hampton. Have a nice big bruising back like Omarion Hampton from UNC. Maybe take him, 2nd, 3rd round, and then you end up taking RJ in the 5th, and then you got 2 young running backs that can go, and I think that'd be a nice team there in the backfield. I don't know. These are my 5. Obviously, there might be a couple better fits. Maybe Kansas City, with Pacheco kind of being on the outs. But I think they're going to take Scadaboo before they would take RJ, just with his versatility as well. He might be a better fit. So I don't know if you have any other teams you could think of.
I mean the Broncos. I mean they might need something.
Broncos. Yeah,
I mean,
Sean Payton hates Javonte Williams. I think that's pretty well known at this point. Hates Javonte.
I mean, McLaughlin's isn't too bad. SMA really didn't see a whole lot from him. I mean, they got Blake Watson, who came from Memphis. We didn't really see anything from him at all.
I think he's a better version of Blake Watson. Honestly, I think RJ is a better version. Obviously, Blake wasn't drafted last year. I expected more. I thought he'd come in as an undrafted free agent, and he'd be one of those guys that, kind of like Pierre Thomas back in the day with the Saints, that Sean Payton would gravitate towards. It just didn't happen like that. But RJ is definitely a better version of Blake Watson if they wanted to take him.
Yeah. The Panthers would be another one because Jonathan Brooks is going to be out another year.
Oh my God! Didn't he get hurt again?
Yeah, he did. So he's gonna. So he's out for another whole year. So I mean, they got pretty much Chubba Hubba, Miles Sanders, or Raheem Blackshear.
Sanders
Bailey.
Getting cut.
Yeah, So I mean, this is another possibility he can land with the Panthers.
Yeah, I could see that because I think Miles Sanders is going to be out of. Not only is he going to get cut by the Panthers, he's going to be out of the damn league. Miles Sanders he's been stealing money the last couple years. That he's still living off that 2022 Eagles season.
Oh, crazy. But let's hit into those are just our overall thoughts on just some landing spots to the NFL.
We got some fantasy thoughts.
Yeah, what's
some of the goodies.
Yeah, the fantasy thoughts of this guy over here. I mean, you can kind of see the his stats through week 14, some strengths and weaknesses over there. I mean, he got a few key metrics over there too as well. I mean, he had 10 plus 20-yard runs. I mean, his red zone efficiency 48%. Usually you want to have about 50%. Usually that's usually pretty good. It's 6 yards, 6.8 yards per carry, which is pretty damn good. In our eyes, anything over 4 or 5 is actually, almost elite. I mean, guys running over, 5 yards a carry, which is good for us in the NFL. I mean, he was actually seeing almost, 19 carries a game. So I mean that's quite a bit. I mean, almost means that he was the feature guy down there at UCF, and maybe some of this can transition into a landing spot in one of these teams down there too as well.
Jake, Jay, I was just gonna mention, yeah, he wasn't doing 6.5 yards a carry, 6.7, 6.2. He wasn't doing this on like 12 carries a game. Like he was 20 carries a game every game. Just look at the bottom, look at the game log. They were
Yep.
feeding him every game. His average was high. I think people have it skewed because of how good of a year Ashton Genty had, with his average per carry. But
Yeah.
anything over 6 is elite. Absolutely.
Yeah.
RJ,
Yeah.
probably 5.5, 6 is elite. I think anything above that.
Yeah, for sure. I like I mentioned, I think you have to get Harvey like involved pretty early in the game plan. I was looking at some splits and stuff like that from 2023 and 2024. The months of in 2023, the months September, October, he only totaled like 5 touchdowns, but in November he totaled 10 touchdowns. So this is a guy in 2023 that he was probably getting immaculated with the offense and stuff like that. Um, but he was actually better in the second and third quarters of games. Pretty much, he had 11 touchdowns, 37 carries, and when they got to the red zone back, in 2023, which you can kind of see what he did, from 2023 over to 2024. He, that ended up getting a little bit better overall. But his splits in 2024 were actually a bit better. In September, he had 6 touchdowns. October, he had 5 touchdowns. November, 9 touchdowns. So you can kind of see the difference. He got a little bit better, in 2024 with, his splits and stuff like that, through month to month, which, we want something like that.
Yeah, no,
Um,
absolutely. No, his efficiency, his efficiency, explosive runs, the fact that he was catching, the targets that he got, he was catching everything in sight. It's not like it's not like he had like 50 catches or anything, but what they were throwing to him, he was getting to. UCF, didn't they have Jefferson? Wasn't Jefferson the
yeah,
quarterback?
yeah.
And
I was
he
a fan.
fucking he was a major disappointment this year.
I was
I think people
pissed.
thought, Jay, I think especially after they made a bowl game in 2023, I think people thought UCF would be a lot more competitive in the Big 12, with
Yeah.
Jefferson and RJ, and Jefferson he worked his way out of the NFL draft. He
Yeah,
worked
yeah.
his way out of that.
He was on my radar for,
He
college
was,
fantasy.
yeah, both of us,
I
yep.
actually did drafted him, but I had to drop him because he was no use for me because he had a little rushing upside, a little bit to him, and he had a nice arm and whatnot. He played in a few games, but he just did not look like he was. Um, but for RJ Harvey's, let's go back to his splits here quick. Better in the second quarter of games, better in the first half of games. So if you get this guy involved early in the games, he's going to put up yards. He's going to help you control the game and stuff like that, which I like. So I was like, ooh, I'm like, this guy's actually looking more and more impressive to me. I'm like, with some of the top guys like Genty and Hampton and Caleb Johnson and stuff like that. But he's also great in the red zone. But so I know, we mentioned, the 40 times you hear, and this is the thing I was mentioning to you too as well. So RJ Harvey is actually faster than all the guys from the 2024 class, but 2 guys, which is Garendo and Wright. So he's faster than all the other guys from 2024, which is nuts. I was like, what? No way. And so other than that, only 2 guys. So RJ could fit very, very well in one of these offenses, from past guys that already went in. But you think about it, Jonathan Taylor he runs a 4.44, and he's the lead guy. We got Bijan Robinson, he runs a 4.46, and we got James Cooks who he runs a 4.42, and then we have Kenneth Walker who runs a 4.38. So these are just some good comparisons of guys already NFL and what Harvey and so I think I think he can land. I think he can do well in an NFL offense if given to him.
And James Cook, running back from the Bills, I think he's under 200 pounds too. So he's not a huge running back either. And we see how productive he is year in and year out. With Josh Allen and the Bills. So, the knocks on, like I said, the pass protection, he can't do anything about that physically. Can't do anything about his age. He just turned 24. So so the stuff that's working against him, it's okay. It's nonsense. We saw what he did in the Senior Bowl. Got good hands, great vision, explosive. He's deceptively fast. Like he can hit a home run. I watched a ton of this guy, and like, I don't see the top end speed, whatever the hell that means. Like how many running backs? I mean, seriously, like Jalen Wright. I mean, it's yet to be seen. Jalen Wright can run like Olympic times almost, but let's see what happens when he's a feature back. Like he really wasn't even a feature with Tennessee. Like he was,
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, well, let's wait to before we coronate him. Let's wait to see what he does at the next level. So
Right.
sometimes, yeah, Jonathan Taylor runs a similar 40 times. He does just fine to me. Like when he's healthy, Jonathan Taylor is a top 5 or 6 running back in the league. So you just go down the list of guys that are in the same ballpark as size and 40 time, and they've been very successful just from the guys you listed. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't see red zone efficiency. Yeah, he's going to have issues in short yardage situations just because he's a smaller back. That's just it is what it is. I mean, Ashton Gent, but if you're bursting through like Ashton or RJ, if you're bursting through the line, ripping off 50-yard touchdowns, what the hell does it matter? I
Right.
mean, especially in a place like Philly. If he was like their backup to Saquon, in a place like Philly, they just do the tush push. They just put
Yep.
Jalen. They just shove Jalen in.
All
There's
right.
ways around. There's ways around it. There's like I would take RJ Harvey in a heartbeat on my team. I'm just
Yeah.
saying,
Oh, yeah,
my
for sure.
fantasy team. Probably not year to year until we kind of know his role, but dynasty definitely, and drafting. Like I'd be okay with the Bucks have Bucky Irving, but if we let Rachaad White go and we want to take another one of these kind of backs, I'd be plenty fine bringing in RJ.
For sure, for sure. All right, I'm gonna give you some of my ceilings, mid,
Yes.
and floor for him, and I got him as Kahil Herbert. He just one cut runner, underrated, receiving skills, solid. He's got some solid vision and stuff like that, and to land into
Khalil's been a nice backup for a lot of years. He's not a feature guy by any means, but he when he's had his moments, he's limited running. He's done a lot being a limited running back. I'll just put it this way: like Khalil Herbert
Yep.
has got the most out of his NFL career.
Oh yeah, for sure. Mid comp Tyler Algier, and we see what Tyler did, down in Texas, almost 1,000-yard running back, his first year as a rookie down there. Tough downhill runner who can be a committee back or stronger than an RB2 in the right situation. So
Yeah.
I mean,
And Jay, he had, people forget before Bijan was there, he was 1,000-yard running back. Now he's a solid backup to Bijan. So that's a fine role too. If you're a backup to a top 10 running back, there's nothing wrong with that. There's only so many elite running backs, and I would say Bijan is one of them for sure.
Yeah. Did I say Texas? Yeah, I probably did. But yeah, pretty much meant Atlanta. The floor would
no, you're
be
fine.
floor.
Same part of the country. They all talk
Yeah.
like this.
Yeah. The floor is Keaton Ingram. A solid college producer, but struggles to carve out a significant role at the next level. But so those are
You say Keontae Ingram?
yes, and he's a Cardinal.
Wasn't he at USC?
I'm
Hasn't he
not
been
sure.
cut by a bunch of NFL teams? I hope RJ is a hell of a lot better than Keontae Ingram. I'll put it. RJ had too high profile of a college career, and I think he's got too many intangibles to fail. Just for Khalil Herbert, okay, being a solid backup in the league for years. It's like being a number 2 quarter. I mean, there's a bunch of guys that can be a solid number 2 quarterback for a long time. If you're a solid number 2, number 3 running back, especially on a good team, I mean, you're gonna hear the name RJ Harvey. It's better than being Keontae Ingram. When's the last time we heard? Wasn't he? He was cut by the Cardinals, cut by the Saints, probably some other teams I'm not thinking of. That's a real low floor, Jay. That's like a bunker floor. That's like a nuclear apocalypse floor.
What? But dynasty potential and rushing value got him at a 6 across the board. When you think about some of the guys that are kind of second and third tier guys, I mean, they're not going to be like a 8 or 9, like a Genty or Hampton probably would be. I think his NFL readiness, I think it'd be right on a 5. I just think it's going to come down to a landing spot and the people in front of him too as well. And for draft projections, I think once after the combine hits and stuff like that, everybody's going to be probably riding him. So I'm a thinking, right now he's going late third. But I think after, 'cause this is for after the combine, I think it's gonna be a late second or an early third in for, dynasty rookie mock draft, or not mock draft, for for rookie draft, sorry.
So you have him. Where, I think you mentioned somebody offline. We were talking about Travion Henderson.
Yeah.
Would RJ for example, would RJ be drafted in a rookie draft over Travion Henderson?
As a lot of us would say, be like, "Why would you do that for?" Because everybody seems to be on Trey Henderson a lot more. I haven't been on
I don't
Trey
see it.
Henderson.
I don't, Jay. I don't. Jay,
Just
I don't see it with Travion Henderson.
yeah, I honestly, I would take Harvey before Henderson.
I would too.
That's just me. But, I mean, I know we're
I
gonna
would
probably
too.
get some hates on that, but that's my
I'll
perspective.
say it again. Just for the hate. Right in there. I'd take RJ. Let me put this up here. I'll put RJ Harvey over Travion Henderson 7 days a week, twice on Sunday. Damn right. And we ain't lying here, because you know what? We got a mock draft coming up with our guy JT the Brew. And we actually get to put this to the test, and if it presents itself, we're transparent here. We're each going to take RJ over a guy like Travion Henderson. And there's probably a
But
few
yeah,
other examples I'm not thinking of, in that same running back ballpark for a rookie dynasty
yeah,
draft. But yeah, RJ, yeah, definitely high on him. I think he could be a great, maybe a low end starter. I think a realistic thing would be a low end starter in the NFL, or like a really, really good backup that can, help you win a Super Bowl. The Eagles or a Chiefs, pro team like that, just being a number 2 running back that could do, kind of like what Jerick McKinnon was a couple years ago with the Chiefs, and a versatile running back like that. I think he could have a great role in fantasy too. You're gonna hear his name probably as soon as this year. You're gonna hear the name RJ Harvey. So be on the
yeah, for
lookout.
sure. Yeah, for sure, for sure. But, hopefully everybody, likes and give us a like, and, comment down below. Subscribe too as well if you like this, RJ. You can check out our other, our other content, our other spotlights on YouTube there, and hopefully you guys got a little something out of this. And if and I think RJ Harvey is going to be on the rise a little bit too as well.
Yeah,
But yeah,
absolutely.
other than that, make sure you guys just follow us on all of our social media platforms. X, which is on our screen right now, Instagram, Apple, and the good old Spotify, and our Discord link will be in the description too as well. So, but other than that, stay tuned for our next college spotlights, and you'll have to kind of see who that will be.
Yeah, yet to be determined. If you have any suggestions too, DM us. All that good jazz. We're be doing about an hour here. My imaginary
Yeah.
watch doing a mock draft with JT the Brew. That's gonna be live. So you'll probably see that mock draft before you end up seeing this video. So
Yep.
yeah, that should be lots of fun. And we're gonna follow everything we've been talking about so far. We're gonna be transparent, so you guys can kind of track our mock draft based on some of the spotlights we've done. So it should be a good time.
Yeah, we appreciate everyone watching and viewing us, giving us a like too as well. But other than that, we are going to see you guys on the next one. I'm Jamie. That's Eli. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Later.